done audit of quite a lot of IT companies, and initially I had an impression that they should be very well controlled. But later on I realized that as far as IT professionals is concerned, quite often their thrust is on implementation or deployment. Security comes secondary. And quite often when we bring out the findings, the guys are amazed, saying that how could you think like that? We have never thought that this could go wrong. And as auditors, we are trained to think in terms of risks, in terms of what can go wrong. And that is the perspective which is always required even in information technology audit. So you need to remember and understand that if you're doing information systems audit, you should know very clearly what is the impact of information technology on controls. Now, the type of controls which are existing in a manual environment may not really exist. Many of these controls may vanish. Many of these controls may get integrated. So if that is the case, you should know how to audit these controls. And that is very, very important. What is the impact of controls? You'll find the controls also, especially in the type of technology environment which is going on, you find controls become more and more complex. For example, we are talking about ATM. Now, if you go to an ATM, where do you find this transaction listing? The user enters the data. Now, let's say if you go to fabmart.com or fabmall.com or readib.com or cfi.com, you order for something. Now, where is the basic document? The document is entered, the details are entered by the user directly. If that is the case, which means most of the information is available inside the computer. So in that case, you should be still able to do the audit, even without having access to paper documents. And this is where they say you need to resolve this IT paradox. The management wants to deploy information technology extensively, which means they want to have information which is available earlier internally to be available to the customers at large so that they can provide new services. Now, if you look at any of the customers, for example, internet banking, what is the bank trying to do through internet banking? They're making the information which is available internally to the customers at large. If that is the case, which means it's a new product, new service. There are quite a lot of banks which have actually increased their business because of this type of service. Now, the question is, if there is an openness for this particular system, now should there be a need for security? Now you find the need for security becomes much more relevant and much more important. That's where, as IT auditors, I think we can definitely play a very critical role. The second important, so if you look at IS audit, it is being driven from two different perspectives. One is the management would require information systems audit. Primarily, as an auditor, I think what we are providing is we are providing assurance on the assertions made by the management. Even in the information technology environment, the management wants an assurance that the controls are in place. And that's where I think we can definitely play a role. That's one important area. The second thing is you are also come from the perspective of the corporate governance or the IT governance. That's considering that the information technology has become a key enabler for the business. And it's important to use and deploy information technology to survive and thrive in the business. It's important that information technology is not considered as a prerogative of the data processing, or it's a prerogative of the IT department. The IT department takes care of that. But it's also important, considering the investment and the risk involved and the impact on the business if the technology fails, it's important that the senior management get involved in deployment of information technology, because they can use information technology for a strategic and competitive advantage. And that's where we have this concept of corporate governance and IT governance, where they're saying that we need to ensure that this information system is in place. And that's where auditors can also play an important role in helping implement. The second important thing is what our controls can be automated. If you read Bill Gates, he says in 2000 when he came to Bangalore, he was saying that the type of technology innovations you have seen in the last 10 years, you will see much more in the next 10 years. So and he termed 2000 and 2010 as a digital decade. Which means the type of technology innovations you are going to see is going to be tremendous. If you read Bill Gates' book, Business at the Speed of Thought, he says in their organization, whatever can be computerized, whatever can be automated, is being automated. If that is the case, where are people required? People are required for the knowledge they have. And knowledge is not something which you can get from the computer. And as auditors, I think we having knowledge about the business process, knowledge about the regulations. We have knowledge in different areas. And that's where I think we can definitely play an important role. What we need to look at is, okay, how do we use this knowledge to effectively contribute to the business? That's what we need to look at. So if you look at the knowledge era, we're talking about knowledge is going to be the prime differentiator between the professional is going to be successful and the professional is not going to be successful. In fact, they say in the near future there could be only two types of auditors: computer literate auditor or computer illiterate auditor. Now it's your choice to decide where you want to fall in. quite often, I think the CA Institute was formed by an Act of Parliament in 1949, and we have the tendency to bask in past glory that we have got this so many statutory rights. I think it's very, very important that we need to remember that, okay, what role we played in the past may not really be relevant. Like a friend said, I was told by my boss that when he joined for CA, one of the things he was differentiating was the type of pencil we are used. No? You had red pencils, green pencils, and the pencils were very important for the audit. So I always used to carry a bunch of pencils with them. Now you find pencils are not required. So it's very important as an auditor that we need to move from the past, where we're glorified in the past in terms of what we know. Most of our income, if you look at the auditors, were coming from dealing with Government of India undertakings. So we have always Government of India undertakings. So you find those type of services, I think more and more, they would not definitely have relevance. So, and as chartered accountants, I think we have been trained, we are competent to do much more. And IT has put India on the roadmap of the world, has put India on the map of the world. Wherever I've traveled internationally, they know India as the IT capital. They know India because of IT. Now, if IT professionals could put India on the map of the world, now as chartered accountants, I believe strongly that we definitely have the competencies and skill set to do more, much more than what we are currently doing. What we need to do is look at what is the missing link as far as our understanding of information technology is concerned. Now, if we can bridge this gap, I think definitely we can do quite a lot more. Now, let's quickly get into what is the scope and objectives of audit. What we'd like to look at quickly is, what is this IS audit? IS audit can come from two different perspectives. One is from the risk perspective or the control perspective. What is the scope of audit? I'll just give you some example. And what are the objectives of IS audit? The first thing you need to know, what is information systems audit? Now, if you have read Ron Weber and CISA, this one, the ESA, you would have seen, it talks about effectiveness, you talk about efficiency, and you talk about safeguarding the custody of the assets. You talk about data integrity. Now, information systems audit primarily, if you look at the definition, say refers to any audit that encompasses review and evaluation. When you talk about review, which means somebody else is looking at how the controls have been implemented, how technology has been implemented. Now, when you talk about review and evaluate means evaluate against a particular yardstick or a benchmark, which means we should have certain standards based against which we should be able to evaluate what is there. Otherwise, if you don't have certain standards, quite often we find there's a problem. In fact, I remember in 1998, I got a call from the head of internal audit of one of the IT companies for doing some assignment. So we had a discussion with him. They're using an ERP package in a centralized and decentralized mode. So we discussed with him. He told us about the problems they're facing. One of the problems they faced was they were using an ERP package, but the trial balance was not telling. Then there are negative inventory, there are negative cash balances. There are so many issues which they found during the course of the normal audit. He says, we don't know about this ERP package, we wanted to do an information systems audit. So we went and discussed and looked at the systems, and then based on that, gave them, okay, these are the type of assignments we can do. Next, we had to have a discussion with the head of IT. When we met the head of IT, when we exchanged cards, we gave the card, and that guy saw, oh, chartered accountant. Now he said, well, chartered accountant, what are you doing here? He said, no, we provide information systems audit and assurance services. Oh, he said, that's quite interesting. Then he asked me, do you know about, they were using a package called Cymix. Do you know about Cymix? I said, no. Do you know, have you done audit of any, this one, like a large company like ours, which has implemented ERP in a large, this one? I said, no. He said, you don't know what is the type of business, you have not done this type of an audit, and you have not even have heard of this particular package, and you are going to come and do the audit for me. How do you think you're competent? I said, we are definitely competent, because as auditors, we are supposed to be control experts. We can definitely do the audit. So you will see as you go on. The next thing he said that, now itself I'll tell you, whatever opinion you give, whatever recommendations you give, I'll not accept. Because I have been implementing this package in the last 4 years, and we are supposed to be solution providers of this package, and I have got extensive expertise in this. Now you are a fresher, now you're going to learn at my cost in my company, and then you're going to tell me what's wrong. Why should I accept? I'll say I'll not accept your recommendations at all. So I had to tell him that don't worry, it's not going to be personal recommendations. Whatever recommendations we give is going to be based on a globally accepted standard. So we're using COBIT at the time, so we gave him COBIT and explained what is COBIT and how it could be used, what are the processes we're going to use for this particular assignment. And next day we said, you go through this one, come back, we'll come back tomorrow and then discuss. So next day when I went, I was surprised that guy had actually highlighted some of the processes. Because when he read COBIT, he understood because COBIT is a collection of best security and control practices, he realized what are the weaknesses in the system in the way he has implemented. And then we did the assignment, and the best part was that the assignment was over. He said, if I had known about COBIT, probably I would have been able to implement this audit in a much better way. So that's why if you're doing information systems audit, it's very, very important that you know what is the standard you should use and how to adopt it. It cannot be personal opinion, and you should have enough understanding of information technology. It's like one senior auditor deputed 3 of his staff for doing the audit, and he said, do vouching, do totaling verification, do posting verification. And after 1 week, he went to check what is happening. So he found the first boy had a printed cash book, computer cash book, and that is one more thing which happens quite often. If there's any problem relating to income tax, company law, or any other matter, the first person the client thinks of is the auditor, the chartered accountant. Now, if he has to computerize his accounts or change over or may buy a new computer or change a new, convert whatever is having a single user to multi-user or wants to upgrade computers, chartered accountant nowhere comes into the picture. The chartered accountant comes in only when he looks at the new, when he goes for audit and he finds there are new printouts or new computer systems. Now that's the mindset I think we should be able to change, saying that we can also provide validation in consultation in implementing information technology. Now coming back to this particular point, so this boss went there, is a very senior chartered accountant, went back to his boy after 1 week to check what is the progress. He found that earlier they used to have a manual cash book, now he found there's a computer printout of cash book, and there's a computer printout of general ledger, and this guy was verifying the postings from the cash book to the general ledger. He went to the next boy, and he was amazed, this guy also had a printed cash book, and this guy was doing the vouching. So there are the vouchers, and he was computer-generated vouchers, and this guy was ticking and seeing whether the vouchers are correct. This guy was amazed. There I saw cash book, there is one more cash book. So he went to the third guy to check what is happening. He found this guy was doing the cash book, he was doing the totaling verification. And he said, sir, I've already finished so many pages, there are no mistakes as of now. And this guy was shocked. He said, this is the third cash book I'm seeing. Manual cash book, you sent me only one. Now this is the 3 cash books. So which is the correct cash book to be audited? So he went to the general manager and complained, I don't think we can do the audit. What is it? You got 3 cash books. Which is the one I'm supposed to be auditing? The general manager is generally general in nature, no? So they don't know the nitty-gritties. So this guy called the IT guy and said, what, our auditor has got a problem. You know, audit is very important. We need to submit this report to the board of directors. Please see that what our auditors want, see that the information is given. So the IT manager said, sir, what is the problem, sir? I am prepared to help you. Tell me what is the problem. So the auditor explained, what is that one cash book there, cash book totaling, have one more cash book here, third cash book. How can you have 3 cash books? Now the problem, the IT manager understood from a different perspective. He said, no problem, sir, I'll give you one more cash book. Now this is what can happen if you don't distinguish between a computer-typed report and a computer-generated report. And that's why you should know enough of information technology so that we don't make a fool of ourselves whenever we go for the client. We also seen auditors now where generally I've seen some auditors, after the balance sheet everything is signed, the auditor is taken for a walk of the computer room. Sir, this is our computer, this is our server, this is where we have got this one. Oh, the computer auditor is very fascinated. Oh, you see. Now the problem would be the auditor just goes without opening his mouth. As IS auditors, we always say, believe in the God's principle. God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth. And as general auditors, we are used to making general comments, general free advice. So always we tend to give free advice. And as IS auditors, we always say, be very, very careful. Follow the God's principle. Always get information from him rather than trying to give free suggestions or advice. Now this guy went for this, one auditor was taken like this, he went around and he found in computers we have this pre-printed stationery, you know. He found a lot of computer carbons were lying there. And this guy made a comment, why are you wasting so much of printer stationery? How many pages do you print? There's so much of printer stationery lost. Now what this guy did not realize was that in the case of computer is use and throw. So that you cannot reuse it, okay? Now, if he had been a good IS auditor with the concept of risk, he would have questioned, how are you disposing this on carbon? Because if you got a carbon, you can just take it before the mirror, you can read all the information. There could be a lot of confidential information about the organization, which could be taken by this one. You might have so much of security, but in these printed reports, the carbon copy, you can get all the information. So if you had been a good IS auditor with the risk perspective, you would have realized, you would have asked, what is the type of, how are you disposing this? What is the control on this? Instead of that, they make comments, general comments, no, you should not use, you should reuse and make this. That's why we always say you should be very, very careful when you make comments, especially the IT. And I've seen in my experience the last 12, 15 years, especially dealing with IT, the IT guys are very, very good in gauging your depth of understanding of IT. They'll ask you 2 or 3 questions, they will know what is your depth, and they can take you for a royal ride. I've seen that quite often. In fact, when we did audit of an IT company, one of the recommendations we gave was that they should actually use, they were using group password. We said you need to have individual user IDs so that we can establish accountability. And we gave this recommendation. The head of audit also agreed, yes, I think that's a good suggestion. We need to have it because tomorrow we don't know who has passed the accounting entries. There are also cases where the inventory is missing, we don't know who has passed the entry. Now then they found out later because accounts Delhi is ACS DEL, accounts Bangalore is ACS BAN. Same user ID, same password. So the Delhi guy, if he's got shortage of inventory, the auditor is coming. So what he does is he logs into ACS Bangalore, passes that entry, and he is quite happy. The auditor takes the printout, checks everything is okay. Now the Bangalore guys get stuck. What has happened? Where is the inventory gone? So that's the type of problem they had earlier. So he said this is a good suggestion. Now the problem he discussed with the IT guy, and that guy, when he heard this, he said, sir, no, it's not possible to implement. If I have to implement this, we need to get so many user licenses, and for that it's going to cost so many lakh rupees. And when I met the IT guy next time, the head of audit, they immediately said, what Rafiq, what type of suggestion you gave? If I have to implement this, it's going to cost me so many lakh, so the management is not going to accept. Then I said, so what happened? So he said, I discussed with the head of IT, and that guy said, if I have to create single user ID, then it's going to cost me, I have to buy so many user licenses, it's going to cost so much of money. Then I told him, sir, he has taken you for a royal ride. As of now, you already have enough user licenses. In this particular package, when you log in, it's going to be based on the access, how many users are logged in. So it's not difficult for you to create this user ID. It can definitely be done. So when we had a meeting with this one, finally, when the presentation, we could resolve that. So that's why you need to be very, very clear that they can take you for a ride, very good ride. So it's very important. That's why we say, don't talk much. Understand. First, get information, understand what it is, and then know what to ask. Let's go ahead. What does IS audit involve? There could be different areas for this one. In information systems audit, you could do. You could look at controls of the business applications. You could look at controls of the environment. You could look at controls of the physical access level. You could look at controls of the logical access controls. You could look at SDLC or BCP. There could be different areas which could be covered in an IS audit. That's why I've said in any IS audit, it's very, very important to know what is the scope and objectives of that IS audit. Now, if you take some example, now for example, IS audit could be done from two perspectives. One from the perspective of risk management. Now, IS audit is also called by different names. So this is the type of names which could be there when you look at from the risk management perspective. You can call it a security management. Now, for example, if you go to the British Library and look at books pertaining to information systems audit, you may not get books on information systems audit. Quite often, you may get books on security audit or systems audit, something like that, because they don't call it as information systems audit in the UK. So they call it something else. So it's very important you should know what is the terminology and what does it cover. Next, you can also look at You can also look at if you do information systems audit from the risk perspective, these are the criteria based on which you could do information systems audit. Now you could look at from the perspective of, now in fact this can be broadly classified into three. You can look at information systems audit from the perspective of quality, fiduciary or security. When you look at from the point of quality, you could be looking at effectiveness and efficiency. Okay, effectiveness would mean result orientation. Did you get the results for which the investment was made? Did you get what you wanted by the computerization? Efficiency would mean optimum utilization of assets. The next thing you could do is from the point of security. When you look at security, it could be from the perspective of confidentiality, which is protection of sensitive information, or integrity, which means you check whether the correctness and completeness and authenticity of information is maintained in all its stages, or you could look at availability, whether the information which is stored now in the computer is going to be available now and in the near future. So when you look at security, security could comprise of these three components. So you could do assignment from the point of quality, where you look at effectiveness and efficiency, or you could do assignments from the perspective of security, where you look at confidentiality, integrity, availability, or you could do assignments from the point of reliability, there's one fiduciary, where you could look at reliability and compliance. So when you do information systems audit, you need to understand what is the criteria, what is the objective with which you're doing this IS audit, what do you want from this assignment, what does the management want? In fact, when we did an audit for one client, when we focused on security, he said, no, I know about security, but I also want to see, we have invested so much on this. Are we getting enough results out of this? We had planned so many things when we deployed information technology. Have we achieved what the goals which you set? So that's where you could look at effectiveness and efficiency. Next. Now, if you look at sample scope of IS audit, you could be looking at the environmental access controls review, the physical access controls, logical access controls. So you should know clearly what is the scope of audit. It's very, very important, especially if you're doing information systems audit, that you clearly draw the boundaries of scope. Otherwise, you could keep on doing the audit for a long time. Because if the client is good enough, he can take you for a ride. So it's very, very important you know clearly define what is scope and what is the perspective or the objective with which you are doing this audit. Next. So what is the objective audit? Primarily, what you want in any information systems audit, the management wants an assurance that controls are available, and if the controls are available, are they adequate and appropriate? If there are control weaknesses, they want you to give recommendations which can mitigate these control weaknesses. That's what is the overall perspective in information systems audit. What will be the type of information systems audit? Now, there are two fundamental words definitions which you should understand if you have to be good information systems auditor. You need to understand what is controls and what is control objectives. Now, if you look at the controls here, the definition of control, they say control refers to the policies, procedures, practices, and the organization structure that are designed to provide reasonable assurance that business objectives would be achieved. Which means you want to have controls so that the business objectives can be achieved, and controls can be at the different layers. It can be at the policies, procedures, and the practices. And these policies, procedures, practices have to be fine-tuned as per the requirements of the organization structure. You cannot have one size fits all. That's one. The second part from the point of risk perspective is, if there are undesired events, these undesired events are prevented or detected and corrected. And that is the primary objective of control. So when you are evaluating controls, this is one of the important things you need to look at. There could be problems, the policy itself is not available, the procedures are not followed, or the practices are incorrect or incomplete. And it may not really suit the organization. So you should know very, very clearly what is the control. Similarly, the next thing you should know is what is the control objective. Control objective tells you what is the objective or what is that you expect by implementing this particular control. If the control doesn't have a control objective, the control is not required at all. So if you cannot find a control objective for a control, then that control doesn't have any relevance. So control objective, if you look at definition, it says a statement of the desired result or the purpose to be achieved by implementing control procedures in a particular IT activity. What control do you want? Why do you want to achieve that? We'll see some examples as we go on, is defined by the control objective. For any information systems audit assignment, it's very, very important that you establish the control objective or you get the control objective for the management. Because control objectives are going to the yardstick based on which you're going to evaluate what is there, what are the type of controls which are within the organization. Now, how do you go about doing information systems audit? Now, you would be understanding the business processes. That's generally true, even audit also. You'll understand the information systems. You'll understand the controls. In the case of information systems audit, it's also important that the auditor does understand what is the type of IT resources which are deployed. The IT resources could be in terms of facilities, it could be in terms of technology, it could be the applications, data, or the people. So if you're doing information systems audit, you should understand very, very clearly what is this IT environment. Now, if you look at the standard as of now, even if you're auditing in a computerized environment, there is a standard of the CA Institute. It says if you're doing any audit, you should have the required competencies and skill sets. Now, which means if you're auditing a computerized environment, you should have enough understanding of the computerized environment. I've seen many auditors who have done audit, but they do not have in their working paper, if I ask them what are the type of IT resources which are deployed in the organization, I find many of them don't have an answer at all. Now, I want to ask you, do you have the information? Let's say, one of the first things, quite often people ask me, how do I get, where are my clients, where do I get, I've got ESA, where there are no opportunities at all. One of the things I tell them is, first thing you should actually look at is, look at your existing clients. Make a list of your clients. Do you know which clients are using computers? If there's a client who's using one computer, probably there could be an assignment for you. If that, generally, as a thumb rule, if that client is using 5 or 6 computers in a multi-user environment, that client could be, that guy could be a prospective IS audit client. That's one part. Now, how do we practically learn IS audit? That's another question which is always asked. Now, the best thing is, you might be doing tax audit, you might be doing finance audit, whatever audit you're doing. Are you sending your boss to do the work and then finally going and signing and collecting the money? Or are you involved in that work? Now, it's very, very important. You should be able to get involved in the finance audit. If it's computerized, you should know what is IT resources. So your existing clients are the best place to learn IS audit, practical IS audit. So if you're doing tax audit, look at, okay, how can I use computers for doing this tax audit? They might be using a package like Tally EX, or they might be using Oracle Financials or SAP. Whatever the type of package they're using, do you have enough understanding of the IT resources? Do you have one paper which says, okay, for this particular client, this is the type of IT resources we have, this is the technology, this is the hardware, this is the operating system, this is the database. Now, if you don't have that, then I'm really surprised, what type of audit have you done? Because that is the basic thing which I think we should have. So in information systems audit or auditing a computerized environment, one of the most important things we need to have is understanding of the IT resources. What type of IT resources are deployed? If we can do that, then I think we can find different ways of actually using compute itself in the client, learning about various technologies at the client's place itself. And that's what quite often we have done. We learn at the client's cost without letting the client know that we have learned. So that's why they say audit is all about asking intelligent questions. Now, in information technology, how do you ask intelligent questions? Probably one of the simplest way or the best way for you to get this collection of intelligent questions is look at IS audit standards. For example, go to isaka.org. There's some standard called COBIT. Download this and see what is there. So probably if you start using, you'll find you are able to ask intelligent questions, even in information technology deployment. Now you have standards which talk about some basic this one, then you have guidelines, and then you have procedures. These are available freely. You can download this from the ISACA website. You can also use the existing AAS to the extent relevant. Because if you talk about audit evidence, audit planning, most of the things which are there apply even to auditing in a computer's environment or information systems audit. Now, you also need to have good understanding. COBIT is one standard which I have used extensively for doing information systems audit. In fact, I'm supposed to be one of the 10 accredited trainers in the world on COBIT, conducting various training programs on COBIT. And this is an excellent standard which has taken a quite long time to develop, and it's a collection of the best security and control practices. And I have used it for various types of audit. So definitely any type of information systems audit, you can use COBIT. Now, what is important, you should know what aspect of COBIT you should use and how you should use. So the best thing is to start looking at, okay, what are the control objective, read the control objective, and start using them as this one required. So use it as a reference framework or a benchmark for doing any information systems audit. And you can also use it, COBIT, for the purpose of defining the proposal or scope. A client asks you, I want to do an application audit. What do you do in an application audit? Probably the answer is there in COBIT. Now, if you have to do business continuity planning, what will you check in business continuity planning? Probably there is a DS, this one 4. If you look at DS4, probably it could give you information. Now, if you do information security audit, so probably you look at the DS5, it could give you the answer. So you should know what aspect of COBIT you should refer and how you can actually use it. So COBIT has got different components. One is the executive summary, which gives a summary for the management. It's a brief. This one, it talks about what is IT governance, how this IT governance is important, how COBIT could be an important tool. The next one is the COBIT framework, which gives you for each of the 34 IT process, what are the business requirements for having controls. The next one is the control objectives, which gives you, which can actually be used as a roadmap or compass for doing any type of information systems audit. And next, you've got the audit guidelines, which can be used by the auditors for doing any audit. And the audit guidelines are not freely downloadable. It's available only for the members. The other documents are available freely. You also have the management guidelines, which can also help you in doing, checking what type of controls they have in measuring or managing performance of information technology. So if you look at the structure of COBIT, this is how we have 4 domains: planning and organization, acquisition, implementation, delivery and support, and planning. These are the 4 broad domains under which you've got 34 IT processes. Now, if they start from, let's say, define IT strategy, let's say determine technological direction, define information architecture, like that there are about 34 IT processes. Under each of the IT processes, you have got 318 control objectives. Control objectives exactly under each of these processes. And these could be running anywhere between 4 to 30. And you should be able to adopt what is there in the control objectives of COBIT and customize it as per your requirements. And that's where your skill comes in. And when you read COBIT, you find it's not technology oriented at all. It was designed to be a model which can be used across enterprises, across any technology platform. So what is important, this is just an example of how you can actually use customized COBIT, what is given in the original COBIT, and how you can actually customize for doing, let's say, audit of Unix. Next. Similarly, how you can use COBIT audit guidelines to identify what are the risks. Let's say if you're auditing security, what are the type of risks? These are the most important areas you should consider if you're auditing security. This is what is given in the COBIT audit guidelines. So you can directly pick up, and this could also be used for validating and checking whether all the risks have been covered when you do the audit. Next. Now, IS audit, generic approach, if you find, look at audit or general, this one IS audit or general audit, you find the general approach is same. So you need to define the scope and objectives of the assignment. You need to do, based on that, you prepare an audit plan, and then you do the compliance testing and substantive testing, and then based on that, you prepare the final report. Now, if you look at IT process, this is what we said. Now, if you talk about audit can be done, you can have 34 independent assignments for audit of each of the IT process. Now, how does this audit process go about? This from the COBIT audit guidelines, which tells you, if you're doing information systems audit, these are the steps you follow. And this is a generic approach which can be followed for doing any type of IS audit assignment. So you perform audit as per the audit, as per the audit required, which means you get preliminary understanding of the audit area, obtain and record understanding of the particular audit, evaluate the audit area by performing various tests. It could be compliance tests or substantive tests, prepare the audit report, and make a presentation to the management. Now, what is important is, Deepak was talking about the technology innovations. What is important is, we need to remember, in the physical world, when commerce took place in the physical world, we played a pivotal role. Now, if commerce takes place in the e-commerce world, in the digital world, can we still play that prominent or pivotal role? Do we have the competencies and skill sets to do audit of an e-commerce environment? Now, I think we can definitely do that. What we need to look at is look at how we can actually bridge that gap. No, that's where we need to, each one of us, do some self-introspection and analyze. The audit technologies keep on innovating. Are we innovating audit methodologies? Or are we still following the same methodologies like this, so senior auditor and saying, okay, let's do the total checking, posting verification like that? So we need to know how we can use the computer itself as an audit tool. Now let's take step by step. I'll quickly go through this one. The first step is identify the objective scope, identify the audit objectives or scope. The next would be study what is the type of environment which is there. And next, based on that, select the IT process which you need, which should be audited. Now, if you remember, we said IS audit encompasses review and evaluation of any. So, which means you can look at any this one aspect or all the aspects. So, you need to very clearly define what is that you are auditing. Are you auditing the database? Are you auditing the operating system? Are you auditing the applications? Are you auditing the logical access security, which covers all the three? So, you need to very clearly define the scope in terms of what is going to be the coverage. Based on that, you will decide for each of the area what are the control objectives you need to look at. Control objectives becomes the guideline based on which you're going to do the audit. And you can actually add relevant controls, business process controls or technology controls related to that. You also need to pick up for the business process, okay, what type of guidelines the management has given, which could be in the form of circulars or the saying this is the policy we're following within the company. Next. Based on this, you need to prepare your audit program or plan. And that's why I said in any information systems audit, quite often about 40 to 60% of the time would be spent in planning and reporting, and only 30 to 40% would be in the execution. And that's why I said it's become very, very important for the person who is the auditor in charge to be personally involved in the audit, to be leading the audit. Now, earlier we had auditors where we had article clerks, and the auditor was like the guy who was sitting in the palanquin, you know, what is it? So, yeah, palanquin. So somebody, the auditor assistant will be keep on carrying, the auditor will go once in a while to check. Now, in the case of information systems auditor, I think the palanquin is not there. So you need to know how to drive the car. And that's why I always say, you cannot drive a car with a whip. Now the type of skills which you had or the horse rider, you could use it with a whip. Now those type of things may not be really relevant for driving a car. And that's what we need to really know how to update. So based on which you perform the audit, this one identify what are the, what is it primarily you want to do in information systems audit is identify what are the control weaknesses. Based on the control weaknesses, you should be able to give the recommendation. And generally in information systems audit, we always say, don't give general recommendations. Vouchers are not authorized. So what? The recommendation is voucher should be authorized. So the recommendation is the reverse of the finding. Now you cannot do like that. Now if you're doing information systems audit, you should be able to say vouchers are not authorized. You should also be say what is the cause? So what? So you should be able to answer the question, so what? What is the impact or implication? And then you also generally information systems audit, you'll also make a presentation to the senior management. So when you prepare an audit report, this is just a standard template which I prepared. So you will give what are the type of control, what is the finding, what is the control weakness you found, what is the implication of that, or what is the probable cause, and they'll give the recommendation, and then you will also give the management comment. You need to obtain the management comment and include that. So it means you also need to discuss with the audit report. In any IS audit, there could be only two things. One is a fact, the second is an opinion. It's a fact, facts are not to be disputed. So either you can show him what is the fact, that is the problem area, or the auditor should be able to, auditee should be able to say that this is not a problem. So facts are not to be disputed. And if it's an opinion, you should convince him, or he should be able to convince you, or you escalate it to the senior management. So it's very important that you discuss the audit report with your client. So based on the discussions of the draft audit report, you prepare the final audit report, which includes all these things which we have discussed earlier. So you also, in information systems audit, it is very important that it's not just a report to be sent and signed and submitted. Generally, it's also required that you should make a presentation to the senior management. So you should be equipped to make a presentation, which means you should prepare an executive summary and you should know quickly how to make a presentation to senior management, highlighting what are the key control weaknesses which you have found. Next. So what is that we want to highlight? We want to highlight that in the case of audit or information systems audit, what is very important, that innovation. Innovation is going to be the key for success. And if you don't innovate, then you will be out of business. You could be doing things, but may not really be doing things which are really relevant, which can add value to your profession or to the clients. Now, this is this is an example of a bank, case study of a bank, which actually gave an IS audit assignment for a branch audit. Now, this is where I said the bank says this is the areas which you got. In this case, there are about 10 to 11 areas which they want to look at. Now let's look at quickly one by one. Now first example, this is example of a control objective which the bank has given. Under each of the control objectives, there are detailed questions which they want you to check. Okay, for example, this is an aspect pertaining to configuration management checks, which means the management wants you to check the parameters which have been set to see whether they have been set as per the policy of the bank. So you also look at the parameters related to different areas. So now here I have also given the example. You give the control objective, which means what you want to achieve through this control objective. Next, you also get into the details. What are the questions you should be answering when you use this checklist? So it means in each of these areas, you should be able to get an answer. Now, another important thing you should also need to remember that IS audit cannot be done by you just using a checklist. Checklist can be only an indicator about what are the areas. Now, you may use a checklist and say yes, no, or not applicable. But you should know how do you say yes. Similarly, if it is no, then you should also know what is the impact of it being no. And if it is not applicable, what is the impact of that if it is not applicable? So you cannot do an IS audit by just having a good checklist, because if you want checklist, you can go to asap.org, you can get thousands of checklists on IS audit. Any area you want to do audit, you can go to the website and download. But you cannot do IS audit just by using a checklist. You have to customize the checklist based on the understanding of the business process and the technology deployment in the enterprise. Next. Now here it talks about the branch parameter controls, what are the control objectives they want. Okay, next. Now these are available in your slides, so I'm not getting into. Similarly, if you look at system security controls, what are the objective of the system security controls? This gives you a broad indication why they want the controls to be there. Like similarly for system in charge, okay, what are the duties of system in charge? What type of controls do we want to have in the area of system in charge? Now similarly, relating to the database, if you talk about database, they might be using Oracle or SQL Server. What will be the type of database? What type of security and controls they wanted to check in this area? As I said, in information systems audit, it could be required that you need to generate the control objective based on your understanding, and then agree with the client that this is what I'm going to check. Or the client himself may give you, these are the areas we want you to check. So it means they give you the control objective and give you the control questions. It may also be required for you to actually agree what type of format in which you're going to give the report. Similarly, you may also look at data consistency check to check the data integrity. You may also be asked to look at the business continuity planning aspects or the disaster management aspects in terms of what is the policy of the bank put into backup, where do they keep the backup, what type of this one they have to meet various types of disasters which may arise, to meet various types of contingencies which may arise. Similarly, pertaining to continuity of the operations. Sample checklist. Now, if you look at the checkpoints, now for the business continuity planning, this is what you want you to check. So, if the system crashes, how do they take care? Similarly, training. The management also want to know how well our staff are trained. How well do they know about the controls in the bank? Similarly, you could do reports verification. What type of reports are being generated? In fact, I remember about 10 years back, I did statutory audit of a bank. And when I went there for the purpose of statutory audit, it was completely computerized. We found all the reports were generated. The manager had initialed all of them. We are very particular about the exception reports. So we asked the manager, sir, what happened to exception report? He said, exception, I have not seen any report like that. I said, sir, exception report is something to be seen by you. Then he said, that report is directly printed by the computer. My staff takes it and files it. Now, if he doesn't see any report, doesn't matter. He should see the exception report. But this guy is meticulously signing all the reports except the exception report. So in that case, which means that guy really doesn't know what are the type of controls he needs to exercise. Then reporting requirements, in what format the report is to be given. Now, what is the future of the IS auditors? Do you think the IS auditors have a future? So what is important? I definitely believe there is a tremendous future for IS auditors. In fact, the way it's progressing, things are progressing, it could be possible when the opportunity comes, we may not be really ready. And that's, I think, is one of the important things we need to really work on. Are we ready for the opportunity? Or quite often the other philosophy is, let the opportunity come, then we'll get ready. Then I think probably you may lose the opportunity. It's very, very important that you need to identify what are the type of gaps which you have in your knowledge which you need to bridge. I've seen people who have passed the ESA who have not even touched the computer. So what if you got a label? Now do you think you can do information systems audit? So you should always remember there's a time when CA was a terminal qualification. If you are CA, that is the ultimate. There's nothing beyond that. Similarly, we had MBBS where MBBS was a terminal qualification at some point of time. Now you find CA is not enough, you need to have some specialization. So ESA is one such specialization. So in the near future, you will have various other specializations. You should also remember that this is just a beginning. So you should be able to take it further and see how best you can build up. So that's where you need to remember, depending on the type of technology environment, what type of technology you need to understand, what are the basic technology understanding you need to have the CA. I think that is given the CAT course. If you know enough of what is given in the CAT course, practically your working knowledge as per the requirements of the CAT course, I think you should be able to do minimum audit for any type of environment. Now, depending on the assignment, you may have to learn more. So that's where you need to also learn how to learn. So if you have to give an overview of information systems audit, so first of all, what you need to define is what is the information criteria based on which we are auditing. Why does the management want this audit? They want to check for the effectiveness or the efficiency, confidentiality, integrity, availability, or do they want us to check the compliance and the reliability? So you need to clearly establish why are you doing this audit? What is that you are auditing? Now you should also know if you're doing this audit, they are using certain IT resources. What are the type of IT resources they are using? So which means you need to have good understanding what are the facilities, what is the technology, what type of applications they have, what are the data, and what is the organizational structure. That's what we mean by people there. And then once you do the audit, you should be able to find out the control findings, which means the control weaknesses. What are the control weaknesses? Which means what are the controls which have not been mitigated by appropriate risks, because of which there could be an implication which could lead to an exposure, which is a potential loss. Now, based on which you should be able to give a recommendation. And the recommendation should be specific as per the needs of the business, as per the implementation of technology in that particular environment. The recommendation should not be generic in nature. That's where you should know enough of technology to be able to do that audit. For example, in this particular client where we did the IT audit, now once we did the audit, this was a period of 6 months. After it was over, they also got into the Y2K, they want to do this Y2K audit. They looked at various people, and they found within the organization, they decided that we will do the Y2K audit internally. But then they found each of them had deployed this Cymix package in a different way. So they said, who is that one person who knows all the type of deployments we have put in our company? Then they recognized we had done the IS audit, so we knew all the technology deployment in the way the module they had implemented for Cymix. Then they called us to do the Y2K audit also, because we had enough understanding of all the business processes. So what is important is, you need to remember, the future belongs to those who see possibilities before they become obvious. I think those of you who have done ESA, maybe by force or by compulsion, by choice or by compulsion, I think you've seen the future. What is important is, I think you should be able to take this a little further and see how best you can equip yourself with the technology understanding. If you can do that, fulfill that missing gap, then I think you can definitely make a valuable contribution. It's like the guy, you have a mental hospital here. While I was coming from the airport, Bakshi was showing me the hospital. You got this mental hospital. There's a doctor in the mental hospital who decided the patients there inside need not be there, because he thought everyone is fine. So he picked up 3 of the smartest guys and told them, I'm going to ask you one simple question, and if you answer it, I'm going to release you. Because auditors always ask for documentation. No? So he picked up the 3 of the smartest guys and asked the first guy, what is 3 into 3? This guy thought for a long while and said, 3 into 3 is Amitabh Bachchan. Doctor said, sorry, wrong answer. So he picked up the second guy and said, what is 3 into 3? This guy also thought for a long while and said, 3 into 3 is Karishma Kapoor. Doctor said, sorry, there's a wrong answer. So he disappointed 2 guys. I thought they give the correct answer. So he called the third guy and said, what is 3 into 3? This guy thought for a long while and said, 3 into 3 is 9. The doctor was very happy, put the discharge certificate and said, you can go. But just he was about to cross the door, this guy summoned him and said, hey, 2 other friends, where both of you, all the 3 of you are together, your 2 other friends couldn't get the right answer, but how could you get it? He said, sir, the logic is very simple. I multiplied Amitabh Bachchan into Karishma Kapoor and got 9. Now the same doctor wanted to perform one more test. He said, let me pick up one guy. So I picked up one guy and asked him, what will happen if I cut off your left ear? This guy thought for a while, okay, if I cut off my left ear, so I can't hear. So doctor said, right answer. But based on his past experience, he said, let me cross-check. He said, what will happen if I cut off your right ear also? This guy said, left ear gone, right ear gone. He said, I can't see. Doctor said, sorry, wrong answer. So he said, no, you can't go. This guy protested, sir, I can give the logic why my answer is right. He said, tell me what is the logic. He said, I have short sight. I wear spectacles. If you remove both my ears, where will I put my spectacles? Now, as IS auditors, I think it's very, very important. Quite often, if you're doing audit of information technology, you may be getting the right answer, the right reports for you. But do you know what are the control switches there? Do you know what is the logic on which this data has been processed? And if you don't know that logic, then you could be like the doctor who is giving the discharge certificate without knowing what is happening in the internal processing which is there. So as good IS auditors, it's very important that we should know and we should get both the logic and the answer right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rafiq, for your value-added talk and presentation, and very rich experience you have in this audit, which you have shared with us. Time is running out of hand. If any questions, I will request you to ask immediately. If no questions, before I conclude, one thing. Rafiq, you said you were very delighted to come to Pune. In fact, we are very delighted to hear you. Thank you. Right. Again, questions? Yes, question. Yeah. May I request you to wait for 2 minutes? He is answering the questions, and thereafter we'll have vote of thanks. It is a respect to the speaker. Please wait for 2 minutes. After sitting 3 hours without doing anything and listening the speaker, it happens.
Okay, let me quickly answer the questions. Now this is from Sarvesh Agarwal, who says, you have clearly declared that after qualifying DISA of ICAI, many members are not knowing how to conduct IS audit, what is COBIT and how to conduct IS audit. Now, you should remember that DISA, as of now, in the way it has moved you from the stage of I don't know that I don't know to the stage I know that I don't know. Okay, I think that's the first stage I think we should be. So you should be thankful that you got DISA and you're able to understand you're attending this type of conferences. The next step, I think, it's in the stage of evolution. If you look at CISA, it has taken about 20 years to evolve. And it's continuously evolving. Every year the CISA review manual is reviewed. I've been a member of the CISA review manual for the last 7 years. Every year it's reviewed. So I think even the DISA is also going to go up. It's going to this one review. So you should not think that done the DISA, so you're qualified to do the information systems audit. Although institute says you're qualified, what is important is each one of you should be able to identify how much of technology do you know and what is the gap, and based on that you should be able to do that. So the best thing would have been if the CAT and ISA had been combined together. Then I think it would have been the best thing is first the person does the CAT course and then does the ISA, then probably would have got much better understanding of DISA. But as things stand, I think we need to see how best we can take it further. But there's nothing which prevents you. So I always believe you should not wait for things to happen from outside. You should see what you can do from your side and then take it. Now, what is COBIT? I think the best thing is COBIT. I can conduct a 1-week training program on COBIT. The best thing would be go to isaka.org, download COBIT. There is control objectives. It's about 118 pages. Download it, read it. You'll find it's very, very simple. It's not very technology oriented. Read it. You'll understand that this can be used for any audit. How to conduct IS audit? Now, I've already given you the 14 steps. No, it's nothing similar. There's nothing different compared to your general audit. What is the key distinction? The key distinguishing factor between general audit and IS audit is you need to have good understanding of technology which you're auditing. And you need to know how controls are implemented in technology and how to review them. So if you are doing information systems audit, the first thing I always say is know what is the technology, know what are the technology risks which are there. Third, know what are the functions and features in the technology. And third, what are the controls. Fourth, what are the controls which are there. And the fifth one is how do you audit it. So it's important that you should have basic understanding of technology risks, the features, the controls, and then how do you audit that. That's what is required. What ICA should do for this problem, I don't think it's a problem with the ICA as such. It's a problem with us. We need to see what we can do further. I think ICA is also looking at keep on refining that course, revising that course. Is there a need to seminar and revise syllabus and practical training of DISA? Yes, I think there is a need to revise, which I think probably the IT committee is working on revising that. It's a continuous process. It's in the evolution stage, as said. I think it's going to evolve. It's only a question of time. Okay, I think probably this we can take as the last question. Whether just passing ISA, CISA, SISM, DNA is beneficial, or instead getting practical training system audit is beneficial. Okay, I think the best answer is, somebody has asked, what is the difference between knowing and doing? And one guy, a critic said, knowing is knowing and doing is doing. They said, no, I still don't know. Can you tell me the difference? He just said, okay, I'll answer it in a different way. He said, if knowing was doing, would anyone get married? So similarly, you should remember that what information system the ISA course has given you is certain knowledge. Now, how do you apply it practically? You should look at what are the type of clients you got, and then see how best you can practically apply it. So you can never have a course, even CISA also, you can never have a course which by passing the course you can do everything. No, course gives you the knowledge. Now, to convert knowledge into skill sets, you need practical application. Where do you get this practical experience? You need to find out where you can get this practical experience. Even tomorrow, if let's say the IS audit made mandatory by the Reserve Bank and you get branch audit, now who is going to teach you? You cannot learn IS audit by attending a course like this, by hearing. You need to do practically. And that's where you need to find out avenues. What should we start with? Guide the pathway. Okay, I think I reminded of Swami Chinmayananda, who says, if you have to walk on a night on a road, and it's thousands of miles. Now the road is, is very dark. There's not many lights there. But if you have to cross the thousands of miles, what you need is headlights in your car. The headlights of the car may be 20 or 30 feet. But with that headlights, you can actually ride thousands of miles. If we have been able to activate, as per the CA conference is concerned, this type of IT conferences, if they have been able to activate your headlights, I think the purpose will be served. Now you need to drive the way. Where you're going to drive, how you're going to drive, it's for you to work out. Now what is very important is, if these type of conferences can activate your headlights, I think the purpose is served. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafiq, for giving us headlights. And so we will utilize our headlights. You said that monkey does like this. It means you go to heaven. But we'll do like this, so you come often to us and guide us and give us headlights. All right. I would pass on this.
Thank you, Mr. A. Rafiq. As per him, either become a well-equipped tool or be prepared for the royal ride. I am sure that all of you must have enjoyed the presentation. As a token of our love and affection on behalf of IT Committee of the Institute and the Pune branch, I request our chairman to give a memento to Mr. A. Rafiq. I further request.
Just one point. The CD which is being given to you has certain software. One is the Softcat, which is a software which has been developed by us, which can be used as general audit software. I'm also told it includes certain presentation. Now the CD which is being given to you has certain valuable tools, software which you can use for the purpose of audit. There is one software which is called a Softcat, which has been developed by us for a period of 15 man years. The demo copy has been given to you. I would suggest use this software for any of your practical IS audit. You will know what type of tool you use for IS audit. I'm also told there is write-ups on how you can use Excel itself as an audit tool. Because Excel is something which you normally use for most of the functions. I would suggest read this and see how you can use the technology itself as a tool. That is very, very important. How do you use the computer itself as a tool? If you can know that now, then you can definitely make the progress.
We request Mr. Srinivas Joshi to propose voting.